Great, great. So, my name is Tongai Choto. I'm co-founder of AfriBlocks, which is a Pan-African talent marketplace, and we're happy to have everyone here. Brother St. Clair Skinner, who's a co-founder of the Black Blockchain Summit, and I Love Black People, is here with us on the call. So we're just going to get right into it. It's going to give us, background before we get into the webinar and the Emerging Technology webinar today with our speakers. Thank you.
So, there you go. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, right on. Again, my name is Sinclair Skinner, co-founder of Black Blockchain Summit. I'm an engineer by profession with the Tuskegee and Howard University, historically Black colleges in the United States, and been an entrepreneur since about 1999. And so been signing my checks on the front since then. With that being said, just being able to leverage technologies as they come to give us a superpower. And that's a superpower as a member of a community in our Black communities, as well as business owners, be giving us the tools that are necessary for us to be competitive. And in our community, giving us the skill set to make us competitive. And we didn't want to wait for someone else to come save us. So we save ourselves and use this technology in applications that relate to the issues that we face as a people. So the Black Blockchain Summit literally has its origins in that background, like literally being able to use it as a way to keep us in a position of empowerment. That's what's important based on the Black Blockchain Summit and our cause. We started off with a tour going to historically Black colleges, and now we're doing our seventh annual Black Blockchain Summit at Howard University. And what we realized also was that not everybody's going to be able to attend or wait till the next conference. So we said, let's do some webinars where we can introduce some of the latest technologies to our supporters and allow them to kind of discuss this with some of the people who are really building in real basis. And one of the things that's interesting with AfriBlocks as a partner, they have a plethora of freelancers that can take a concept, an idea that you learn here and help you implement it. So it's not just about having conversations, talk is cheap. We like action. So when we leave this webinar, we want you to be able to take action for your business, for your community, for your life in a way that was very different before you came here. So without, further ado, I don't want to keep rambling on, but definitely appreciate everyone coming out today and sharing in this. Appreciate the freelancers for sharing this vital information about emerging technologies. And thank you so much, my brother, good brother, Tongai Choto.
Great, great. Thank you, Mr. Skinner. Appreciate it. We're going to be joined by Munda Mudenda, who is one of our freelancers here at AfriBlocks, and is going to lead with the presentation on his side.
Thank you, Tongai. Are you able to hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we are.
Okay, awesome. Good evening, everyone. I think it's evening on my side. I'm guessing on the other end, could be afternoon. But yeah, hello to you all from wherever you're joining us. And thanks again for making time. Let me just do this. Yeah. Thank you so much again for making time to at least share in our conversation today. So last time I actually presented something. But again, what I'm going to do is essentially just see if we can continue the conversation from where we left off. I'm guessing that the team will be able to share the links to the previous webinars that we had. The inaugural one being the one we did in June. And then we had another interesting one last month, that was July. And this is our third webinar. So I essentially presented just an overview of what the AI has done to be able to at least to transform the business landscape, and how startups and SMEs, scale-ups, can actually leverage some of the tools that AI has brought to grow business.
While demanding that a court essentially force local election officials to do their job and certify results. In the case of
Thank you. Yeah, to help grow business. So we looked at different subtopics, but only in brief. So what I would like to do in this presentation is simply to go through what we looked at last time, but with a little bit more of depth. And if you are not there, don't worry. I think you'll be able to catch up because it's a kind of a straightforward conversation. But again, I'm essentially sharing experiences. So what I do with AfriBlocks is essentially exploration. Business development, I consider it as exploration. So essentially what I do is to sit down with founders and builders from different parts of the world, get to know what their story is, and then see where we kind of meet, build synergies, and then see how we can help each other grow our businesses. That's essentially what I do. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this presentation, just share some of the experiences. But like mentioned, all these webinars they're going to continue, but they're leading into the Black Blockchain Summit, which we're going to be having at Howard University in DC. That's September 20th to 22nd. So just in case you can make it there, please don't forget to register. But for now, I would like us to dive into the conversation. So since we last spoke, we generally gave an overview of AI and machine learning and what it has done in at least changing the landscape, automation, and all kinds of things, and the different tools that we have currently present. But of course, we see AI being built not essentially just as a product, but as an experience. We see things like Apple Intelligence, whom we thought were behind, and now they've come through and they're giving a whole experience with AI. But in between here, we see things like SearchGPT, OpenAI coming into the search engine game. And we hope to see what they're bringing on board and how we can leverage those opportunities as founders, builders, and business owners. But we also see how proactive the different regions of the world are with regards to AI, which only speaks to one thing, and that is that AI has come to stay. We see the African Union developing policies, releasing policies which have been in development for quite a while. Our country also, Zambia, at least I'm speaking from our perspective here, we see how the Ministry of Technology and Science is also proactive at developing an AI policy. So AI has come to stay, and it's really up to us to take advantage of the different opportunities that it has brought with it, and see how we can leverage those different opportunities to build our businesses. So last time we essentially got into a summary of all this. We talked about how AI can be used to boost quality and quantity, particularly in the customer acquisition or client acquisition journey. We saw how instead of us doing things the manual way, let's say spending time as drafting emails to clients whose profiles we are not so sure, we haven't really digested, and then sending them one by one. So how AI can help us draft really interesting messages for particular client profiles, and how it can help us to actually generate quality leads in the shortest time possible. But of course, depending on the tool that you're using and how we can nurture these leads that we develop. That's learning what to say, when to say it, when to engage, how much breathing space to give, and all that. But also how it can help us to improve closing sales as well as customer retention. So essentially, we're going to look at this very conversation. But this time around, I would like us to have some kind of a case study from one of the clients that I work with. So I would like to call this as just tools, tips, and tricks. So we can have this as the topic for today. So like I mentioned, I essentially spend a lot of time speaking to founders and builders. And last year, into this year, I had the opportunity to share conversation with Wood AI. They actually are a startup based in the US, and they are building a performance management system, but specifically focusing on engineering entities. So essentially what they want to do is to improve performance of teams in engineering companies. So let's say, is the team meeting targets? Are they on track? Are they not on track? How is individual performance? And how often can we get these reports? Can we get them on a daily, on a weekly basis, etc.? This was an interesting project. I guess one of the first that I got involved in with regards to AI. So essentially from AfriBlocks, they wanted us to match them with front-end developer, back-end developer, UI UX developer. And we're glad to see how far they've gone and how the project is going. You can look them up, you can see what the product looks like, and then you can follow. But essentially what I would like to do is to use their situation to see how we can use different AI tools from lead generation to client nurturing or customer nurturing, and how AI can essentially help us to improve in terms of delivery speed, but also the quality that we're delivering. So with Wood AI, because they are looking to improve performance, obviously they are trying to target people who are in decision-making positions. So those could be CEOs, CTOs, project managers, HRs, etc., of engineering companies. So then the question becomes, how can Wood AI use some of the different AI tools that are currently available to improve the quality of leads that they get, because they've developed a product, but then they have to sell this product. So how can AI help them? And that's essentially the summary of the conversation that we're going to have. Now, with regards to the AI tools, they have essentially two options. The beautiful thing that we've seen is that because of the coming of AI, we're not having AI as just an independent product, but as an experience. So even companies that were already in existence are now integrating AI into their at least a user experience. So we see that there are different products that are on the market that really weren't so AI enabled or led, but currently they are. We see how social media platforms like Facebook and LinkedIn or Instagram now have their own unique AI features that you can use to improve the experience that you have. So Wood has essentially two pathways that they can follow. One, they can go the path of using market-ready AI tools, and those essentially will come in as either standalone tools, like maybe tools that take notes when you're having meetings or something like that, or they can come as already existing platform, but they have been enhanced with the different AI features that have been added to the platforms. But they can also go the route of building in-house AI tools. The choice of which one to use really depends on the situation, but considering the situation they are in, currently they're a startup, they're not really scaling, they're still doing maybe product market fit. They'll probably benefit more from. Hello, Tongai, are you still able to hear me?
Yes, please go ahead. Yes.
Oh, okay, great. They'll probably benefit more from using the market-ready tools compared to in-house building because of the costs that are involved in in-house building of these tools. But the in-house tools also come with the different let's say, advantages with them, things like customization. But also the big question that comes around AI is data privacy. So when you have something that's in-house, you at least have some level of control compared to using something that's on the market, and then the owners of the product don't really abide by the rules or the regulations. That's the risk that you have. But if you want cost efficiency, it's already there, support is provided, and then speed of implementation, they'll probably go for a market-ready AI tools compared to in-house. But if you're at a position where you are, let's say you are a Google, you're a Microsoft, you're probably developing your own tools because it's better that way. You have a lot of proprietary data. Patents are really important for you. And so you're probably going to build teams around you to be able to work on this. I guess that's why we see entities like Google acquiring companies that are smaller than them, but they have great products. That's because for them, it benefits them to own these tools than just to pay to use them at that level. So when it comes to lead generation, Oud can potentially leverage LinkedIn Sales Navigator. It's different to how it was a few years back. If you open your LinkedIn app currently, you'll see a lot of these different AI features that it has brought in. But that also means that the quality of recommendations and output that it gives when you use their filters, let's say when you're using Sales Navigator, is really good. So let's say they are looking for CTOs or CEOs who are working in the industry, engineering industry, they'll probably use Sales Navigator to filter, search by filtering. And then once they get those, they want to send messages that are really catchy, but also have a clear call to action. For that, they could potentially leverage ChatGPT to drop a message based on a persona that they give it. Say, I'm reaching out to CEO X, he runs this company, they're in this revenue range, etc. But I want to have a call with them, draft, or maybe write me a concise message that I can use. Anything around that maybe they can use. You find that at least the amount of time that it would take for you to brainstorm and generate your own message, and the quality of recommendations that you get by using Sales Navigator would be much better than you just using LinkedIn, the ordinary search, which doesn't bring out the best of results, right? So when they get these different leads, they really have to qualify them as well. So that's why you have platforms like HubSpot. HubSpot CRM has really improved as well with things like AI-powered lead scoring feature, which helps you to kind of prioritize which of the leads to contact first, which ones you still need to nurture before you can move to maybe having a meeting with them, etc. But with this as well, platforms like ChatGPT can be very useful, because essentially you want to keep the leads engaged. You want to make sure that they're nurtured, they arrive to a point where they are able to either request a demo, or you lead them to request a demo, so that from there they can show them their product. But with HubSpot, you can also set up a workflow automation. So you can tell it when to send emails, and which emails should go when, and all those kinds of things you can be able to do. So the AI feature bit of things has really made the platform much more good for businesses and even small businesses. When you reach out, essentially, they'll also need to, because they need to have a conversation. You have platforms like Calendly. This one is a common tool that people use to schedule meetings. And the automation bit of it is also interesting, because when somebody books a meeting, automatically follow-up email is generated, right? But the interesting AI tool that you can use with this, especially when you jump on calls, is something like Read AI. There are so many others that you can use that take minutes when you're having meetings with clients. Read is something that I personally use, and it's been super helpful in giving me summaries of meetings. But if you're using the premium version, it can also help you with the recording of the actual meeting. So you are able to follow up, and also don't miss on the key points, the keynotes that the client really has. But you can also use Google. I use a premium version of Zoom. And the AI feature that it has is really helpful in taking notes, but in also giving summaries. I guess the disadvantage that you would find with these tools that take minutes will be if you're from this part of the world, like Africa, the way you pronounce word may be different. So sometimes it will write the wrong words, but at least it gives you a starting point when you are referring back to the conversation that you had with your client. And with the meetings that you have, the minutes that you have, you can then feed them into HubSpot. Essentially, with HubSpot, it's a great CRM because you see clearly how your client is moving from just being a lead to how they're progressing until you actually close a sale. Once you've had a conversation, and just to speak a little bit more on point number 3 on discovery, because this is essentially the one that usually takes longer because there's a lot of back and forth here. Maybe at the point that you reached out to the client, they are not yet ready to maybe buy to the product, or they don't yet see the need. So you're still getting to understand them understanding you. And that is why it's important to have tools like Read, because they're going to take notes, and then those notes you're going to have great summaries to feed into HubSpot. So you know how your conversation is progressing. You know whether you're wasting time with that particular conversation, or maybe you need to let it breathe for some time before you can engage again, or maybe you just have to stop. Because with such tools, AI tools, what we're trying to do again is to make sure that we maximize on resources. And part of resources is time, or maybe human capital that you have in the team. You want to make sure that the people in your team are involved in conversations that are leading somewhere. It's not so much of guesswork. You can at least predict where the conversation is going. So that's the benefit of these tools. When it comes to document signing, contracts, they could potentially leverage things like PandaDoc, because it gives really great audit of at least let's say contracts. If you send out a contract, it will tell you when the person has opened it, or if they've opened it, so that it can be easy for you to kind of reach out, say, hey, I sent over a document. I'm not sure whether you've receive it, which would be very different to you just sending out an email and then you're not really sure on whether somebody has opened that email or not, etc. DocuSign is good for just assigning. Nothing really fancy or AI about this one. Once they've signed, you've closed, you want to make sure that conversations are going on. You can use Slack, assigning task, Trello. Nothing really fancy about those ones, but the great part would still be HubSpot and MailChimp. HubSpot for making sure that you're able to track feedback so that you are able to nurture continuously those clients that you receive based on the feedback that you get. You know how to improve, or maybe you see that in the conversation that you're having, there's an opportunity to cross-sell or even upsell. That becomes really, really important. Now, in summary of this brief talk, you have to remember that client nurturing is really, really important. And that's where these AI tools become really important. Things like those that take minutes and those that keep that information for you. And then they prioritize that information based on which one meets certain criteria. Become really important because it's good to not just have clients coming in, but you want to retain them, because those can buy other products within your ecosystem, or they can recommend you to other people because of the good experience that they had. But it's also good to remember that AI tools are basically tools. And so you have to make sure that in your messaging, even when ChatGPT has generated a message, you run through it and make sure that it reads like a human who's kind of empathetic would write, because there's another person on the other side. It's not a bot. So the human aspect of things still has to be retained, even as we use the AI tools. And then I guess the other bit will be the teams that you do have you have to be familiarized with AI tools. And that's really important, because even as this AI has come, people are really afraid. Is it going to take away my job? Is it going to maybe be smarter than me? Is it smarter than me? Those fears have to be addressed. And that can only happen when you take initiative to kind of speak to the team or train them. So yeah, that's essentially a kind of client acquisition journey that Wood can leverage, and the different tools that they can use. Now, I do understand that we could spend the whole day discussing one tool, but I hope that this has given an overview of some of the tools that are readily available that we can use to grow our businesses. But then if you would like to maybe build in-house tools, that's where AfriBlocks comes in. We're able to match you with talent that is competent to help you build AI tools that you'd love for your company. So in case you have any questions, any follow-ups, my email is there. And yeah, we hope to see you at Howard University in DC. Thanks for listening.
Great. Thank you so much, Munda. This was, super informative. If anyone has questions, please post in the chat. And I think one of the, Enoch in the chat, talked about how important it is or helpful it is to figure out a platform that works for you, as opposed to, using multiple, because right now there's so many of them that have came out. But for me, I always encourage people to go back to ChatGPT, because it is a free tier, so it's free. And also, it's fast. And then most of these platforms are also using its API to create their own platforms. So it only makes sense to use the source. And then there's those that, for example, Munda just mentioned, Apple AI. I happen to have the beta. I've been playing around with it. So there are built-in things on, even on WhatsApp, we've seen it, on Instagram, we've seen it. So all these companies have built-in tools that are also helpful. And I think that the point that Enoch in the chat made is to say that, they save you a lot of time. So as a business founder, you have so much on your plate. You have so much that you need to do, fulfilling orders and everything. So you need every second, that you can get to basically assist you. And these tools are here to assist you. If you want to write an email, if you want to send out an order, you can just do that fast and efficient. I'll take one more question from the chat. Oh, great. I see, you guys are discussing. So yeah, we're now moving on to our next speaker, who is Kudzai Joshua Zawe. You can go ahead and join.
Thank you, Tongai, for the intro. I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, so again, thank you so much, Tongai. Thank you, Brother Sinclair, and thank you, Munda, for your presentation. My name is Kudzai. I am head of community at AfriBlocks. Yeah, thank you again, everyone who's come through to join these webinars. We really appreciate your presence. So I will be essentially doing a continuation from my last presentation and from what Munda was talking about. But mostly I will be talking about where data science and analysis intersect with digital marketing, and then how best you can use these things to make business decisions and just push your product. So can you please confirm if you can see my screen, someone?
Yes, we can see your screen. Thanks.
All right, great. Okay, so I will just do a brief rundown as well for my last presentation, which I'm sure again the organizers will share with you guys. We were talking about how data analysis can be used to make business decisions, and why that's important for any business that's operating in the world today. And today I want to dive a little deeper into the nitty-gritties of data science as a field, what that entails, and how businesses can use data science for their day-to-day running. So there are quite a number of businesses that fall under data science. Some of the fields include artificial intelligence, which is what Munda was speaking on just now. We have the Internet of Things, we have augmented reality and virtual reality, we have machine learning, and we have cloud services. So in my previous presentation, I did touch a lot on machine learning. So I won't be going too much into detail about that. But essentially, when we're talking about machine learning, we're talking about how computers and softwares and some of these devices that we use learn from us through direct input or through indirect input, and how they then use that information to inform business decisions. So it becomes easier and much quicker to get to the decisions, and it also removes a lot of friction between the start and finishing point. And so when we talk about the Internet of Things, is one of the things that I want to touch on in greater detail today. So before we get into that, we would just want to talk about data science as a whole and how it fits into a business's marketing. So you find a lot of times that traditionally marketing is a very direct, very clear field where there are certain steps that you take to inform people about a product and get them to consuming that particular product. But we live in a far complex world now. Businesses have to do a little more. And this is because of various reasons, like we've got so many products, like the AI tools that we're talking about just now. There's so many of them. So how do you get that your particular product to stand out in a world where there are several other products that are the same or similar. So, digital marketing as a field has transformed how we approach, how we view customers, how we approach them, and how we retain them. Because now we are able to personalize marketing to individuals instead of groups of people. So yes, groups are great. They are products that fit a group, but they are products where you're going to need to look at your customer personas more in depth, and you're going to have to appeal to individuals more than you do to just groups or demographics as a whole. So you'll find that right now this is why for example, me at AfriBlocks, my title is head of community. And when we talk about community, it goes beyond just being a customer. It's somebody who is a part of a community, who interacts with the product beyond just consuming it, who contributes to the development of a product, who is very interested in where the product starts and where it's going and where, and things like that. That is what we refer to as a member of a community. But we need to go back and remember that these community members are also there to consume the products as customers, as clients, and therefore we need to make sure that our marketing is also appealing to them as well. And so when we're talking about data science as a tool for business and how this can then interact with digital marketing and build products and make sure that we appeal as best as we can to the people that are using our products, it also allows us to prepare for what's coming in the future. So, that's where you get predictive analysis that tells you, where possibly to move into next, which is also in my previous presentation, which we'll ask also we say the organizers to share with you guys. We look at a lot into the predictive analysis to say, what's that? What does it do? What are we trying to predict? What is, we can look at analysis going backwards in retrospective analysis to say, okay, this is where we were, this is what we did, these are the results. So how do we then use that to, improve our product going forward? So there's different types of analysis that you can apply to your business, but all of them essentially do the same thing. They inform your next step. So we strongly believe, or I do at least, that any business that is looking to remain successful will need to apply some sort of data science at some level. So you'll find that because there's business of different sizes in different fields, not everything is going to be applicable to every business. But there is going to be need for application at some level of some data science, some of those technologies that fall under that category, and using those will give businesses the best chance of making it in a very competitive market. So, like I said, the Internet of Things is one of the things that I want to talk about in greater detail today. And, it's quite a peculiar name, if you ask me, the Internet of Things. And sometimes these terms sound very complicated. It sounds like it's something really foreign. But essentially what the Internet of Things is, it's simply a network of physical objects that communicate with other objects on the same network. So this network could be outside of the mainstream internet. So it could be a home network, it could be an office network, it could be, so any network that can create that of things that are even in different places around the globe, but they communicate with each other first with assistance of the internet. So what you're trying to do here is have as many data collection points as possible from a physical product or from a product that people interact with physically. And also this communication could be coming from the people that are using the product. It could be coming from people that work on the team that's developing the product. As long as there is communication of a network that is centered around one particular thing, and these different objects are communicating the same information from different places, trying to figure out, best use, how are people using this, what needs improvement, what are people saying about the particular product. That is the Internet of Things at the basic level. And so when we collect this data, we need to analyze the data. What is it telling us? So an example I like to use, because I like to read a lot, is of a library. So a library could use sensors that are connected as a network, and use these sensors to collect information on the books that people like, which sections are people visiting the most, which books are people picking up and putting back, which books are being bought. And then we can use that to analyze, to say, okay, is it the store layout? Is it the particular books? Do people seem to like fiction more than they like biographies, for example? And that information can help that particular library to restock, to know, okay, this is the kind of books that people like. We need to stock more on those. This is the section that people are visiting. Why is that? And just those different bits of information, they can be used to like inform where the library goes next. So this can be applied to, let's say, a trucking business. Your sensors could tell you where the trucks are going, where are the loads, how fast are drivers getting there, where are drivers stopping, where are drivers continuing from, and things like that. So like I'm saying, these are things that can be used for any business, but the Internet of Things is particularly helpful for businesses that have physical inventories, physical stocks, their fleets. It could be used for healthcare. They can be used for autonomous vehicles, like self-driving vehicles, self-driving delivery vehicles. We can be able to know where our customers, what things are they buying the most, which delivery routes our vehicles getting stuck on, why it's that, and things like that. So that's essentially what the Internet of Things is. And for businesses that are more digital, where most of the products is digital, there's nothing physical really about the products that we're selling, there is applications as well that we can use the Internet of Things for. And one of those things is, for example, tracking efficiency among team members. So these are sensors and devices you can have on computers, on things that your staff interacts with. So that tells us what time are people most active, or what are they doing, which applications are they working with, what are they doing exactly, at what times do we have more customers coming in or not, whether it's online or it's physically. The Internet of Things can help that. The basic idea behind this is to say, collecting, analyzing, and implementing data sets should be quick. And there's no better way, of collecting information than digital devices that can quickly collect the information, put it in one place, instead of us having a weekly meeting or a bi-weekly meeting. This information can already be collected, ahead of time, analyzed, and by the time we get to this new meeting, we already have a clear picture of what it is we need and where we're trying to go. So that's the Internet of Things. The second thing that I'm gonna touch on today, with regards to data, data science as a field, is cloud services. So cloud services, the most common types of cloud services that we have, are IaaS and software as a service. And these are the more popular ones, where those are the most common ones really. But I want to talk about the other two that also fall under cloud services. And the first one is platform as a service. So now, we have platforms that allow businesses or the individuals really, to build, develop, deploy, and test software products without any technical knowledge really. So depending on how in-depth the service extends, we have software as a service where you can go on, maybe HubSpot, for example, is a software that's a service. And you can just go there and use the software and you leave the platform. But for businesses that want to do a little more, that want more customizable options, platforms as a service are what you need to be looking into. Because sometimes, the generic tools that are there, the tools that everybody are using, they're great, but maybe there's elements in your business where they just don't cover that. And then you need to get another service, which is where you find, there's teams where people use Trello, for one thing, they use Slack for the next thing. That's because Trello does one thing and not the next. Slack does one thing and not the other. So if you have a business or you're operating a business where you feel like you just need a little bit more from, you want a job board, but that just does a little more than Trello does, you might be looking at some of the platform as a services that are out there, because now they allow you to build, deploy, like we said, build, deploy, test the software product that you can then use in-house. So some of these are no code or low code, which don't require much technical expertise in terms of the actual work. You can just, that's a great thing about AI tools as well, where you can just enter prompts and they develop the software for you. And then you have a product that you can then tweak or even tweak on those same platforms, or get someone else to tweak it and perfect it so that it can work as best as you want to. The second thing we're going to talk about under cloud services are serverless computers. Now, this is actually another, funny term, because it doesn't actually mean there's no server involved, but, it means that a business can get critical backend services at a much cheaper cost, because what it does is, instead of being charged for certain bandwidth, so you find that, you'll be charged, let's say, a fixed amount of X dollars for X amount of bandwidth, or X dollars for X number of servers that are accessible to you and your business. But most times, you see, especially for SMEs and startups, you are not using most of that bandwidth or most of the server space that you have, because your business is just small, but you need the backend, you need the servers, and you have no option but to pay, a large amount of money for bandwidth that you're not using. But the good thing about serverless computers now is you pay a fraction of the cost, because you're only using the bandwidth that you actually need. So you pay for just that. So like I said, it doesn't mean there's no server involved entirely. It's just that the servers and the use of the servers is charged according to exactly what you're using. And the next thing about that is also that you're not then in a position where you have to manage the server infrastructure to make sure that it's working and all of that. That's taken care of by the service provider, because then they are using those servers for several different businesses, and each business is only paying for the bandwidth that they're actually using. So the management of the servers and all of the other admin stuff that goes around with that is removed from the small business owner or the CEO of a small startup that is already trying to put 5 and 6 other things together as well. And now you have to worry about servers and their management, and is this working properly? Is that working properly? That's no longer something that's on you as a business, but rather you can then go the serverless computer route, which allows you as well to save a lot of money. And for a small business, for a startup, sometimes saving money is exactly what you need to increase the runway of operation that you're able to achieve with whatever resources that you have. Muunda did also touch on the fact that sometimes resources are scarce and you're trying to put resources in several places at the same time. So the platforms that allow you to keep the most resources and allocate them for other things, they're always going to work best for any business. So serverless computing is another way that digital marketing groups or digital marketing people can apply to make sure that they then have the resources they need to push the business further, to make sure that they're talking to their clients, they're taking the data sets that they collect from all of that, and they're applying them to their product development and making sure that you just keep growing each day as it goes. That's about it from me. I think I'll hand it over back to Tongai.
Great. Thank you so much for that presentation. And I do like the fact that you're talking about using data to predict your results from your business, which is, super helpful. And there was a question that I just wanted to quickly touch on that was posted in the group around, I'll read the question. When you speak about training employees on AI tools, what are you referring to? Is it the ability to build AI tools or to train them in understanding? So yes, it's the latter. It's training your team, or I guess giving them resources to use AI tools in their daily routines. So if someone is in marketing, you can enable them by basically letting them know to use AI to create captions. The other day I was doing ads on Facebook, and now you can actually you post one caption and then it can create multiple other options to do A/B testing on your behalf, which I thought was pretty interesting. And yes, if you're a developer or a software company, I see Marcus in the chat. Tools like GitHub Copilot. I'm a software developer. I've used it, but I tend to use ChatGPT more, particularly because of the conversation. Because you know how it is with AI, right? It's not always 100% correct, so you always need to double check. And sometimes, you tell it, the answer that you've given me, it doesn't make sense, and then it corrects. So that's the reason why I use ChatGPT more than GitHub Copilot. But Copilot is now getting as close as ChatGPT. The reason being, GitHub is owned by Microsoft, and Microsoft, is a huge or major shareholder in OpenAI. So yeah, any questions? I saw the interesting discussion going on about video generation as well, video generation tools. And I think the only thing I would say, it's we have to also use them in a way that's not only beneficial but also safe. We've seen some videos online that just do harm more than good. So it's always also important as a community, as Black people, to say, okay, when you're using these tools, let's create things that are beneficial to our community, because what happens with every technology, there's also a downside with people that may abuse it. So I thought that was interesting, the discussion around AI video generation in the chat. And then finally, I think one thing I wanted to comment about that Joshua mentioned is around servers. There is AWS is the one that we use, which has been super helpful. There's also I forget the name, but the reason why we use that is because it has this thing that's called Elastic. And it's literally saying that when your server or your platform does not have too much traffic, it does not charge you, a constant or the same fee every month. So when you have a month that is more traffic, which assumes maybe you've closed more sales, that's when it's elastic. So it's not just elastic in terms of pricing, but it's also elastic in terms of the server space that you get and the amount of traffic that the website is able to accommodate. We've seen cases where you go to a website, it is slow because maybe it's getting more users, but then the server is not adapting to that. So I would recommend people to look at AWS, which is super helpful in that manner. So yeah, thank you a lot. The final thing before we go, I would like to to appreciate everyone's time and joining until the end. So for any follow-up questions, any talent needs, be it designers, developers, reach out to info@blackblockchainsummit.com or to info@afriblocks.com. Then I would also like to extend some guest passes. I just sent the message, my email in the chat. Appreciate you for joining. And if anyone is interested in attending the Black Blockchain Summit, which is going on on the 20th to the 21st of September. Please email me. I have some guest passes for everyone who has joined this call. We know you could have been doing a lot of other things, but you took your time to discuss with us. So yeah, I've just posted my email in the chat. Feel free to reach out for a pass, for a guest pass to the Black Blockchain Summit. Thanks a lot, and it's right on time. Enjoy the rest of your day, enjoy your night, your morning, wherever you're calling from. Bye.